So on Wednesday, I celebrated my 20-year wedding anniversary, it's not that I don't love free applause. That's not free, that's 20 years. Yeah, that is beautiful. And one, yes, you're like, did he get married at 12? The answer is always yes. I went to a evangelical Christian college where I got married in college because that made sense. And all the adults in our life never questioned that was probably stranger, but besides the point. What we are so grateful for is that it's worked and that we've built our life together. And I am one of those guys. Some of you know me. There's no kids in the room. So here's the deal. Of like in every relationship, one of you is bougie. I'm the bougie bitch in my relationship. Okay. And so when you think of like a 20-year wedding anniversary, I'm the guy with bells and whistles and all the things. And my wife's like, no, whatever. We can do anything. And this week was me slowing down. I'm like, no, I actually don't need the bells and whistles. All we want is just time together. We dropped off the kids at school. We made some eggs. We sat in bed and read a book together. We had conversations and talked about life and just reminisced on the incredible reality that we have just been creating and building the life that we want together. And today was just all about being together. It was doing all of our favorite things. It was getting our kids off to school, which is incredible. That night, that evening, we had a 5-star restaurant. No, we went to a baseball field and scored a baseball game, right? With our kids and ate a crappy hamburger, but it was together. And it was just the reminder of like, man, that's what's interesting in life, is when you get clarity of what's most important to you. Clarity about what you're all about, who you're all about, what are you for, what are the things that you need to let go of. Clarity on like your assignment and like what are you supposed to be doing. And Wednesday was just one of those moments of like, oh, this is the sweet spot. No bells and whistles needed, just the reminiscing of what 20 beautiful years look like. And so today I want to talk about this bigger idea of what's most important to you. That I think that we're Angelinos and that we're going into summer. And if you go into summer, it can be one of two things. It can be, one, you're just going to react all summer long to life coming at you. And then you're going to get to the end of summer and you're going to be like, man, it just kind of came and it went and I missed out. Or maybe it's an opportunity of I'm going to create the life that I want this summer because I'm going to choose what's most important to me. I'm going to get some clarity on the life that I want to live. I'm going to get some clarity on who I want to be with, on what I want to do. I'm going to get some clarity on who I don't want to be there and what I don't want to happen this summer, but I'm at the end of the day inevitably going to need to choose that. So as I've been thinking about this reality, I started reading the book of Nehemiah, and I haven't said those words in 10 years, right? In the book of Nehemiah, it's incredible. I love our faith tradition. I love the Bible. I love coming across these stories. I'm like, oh man, they've stood the time for thousands of years for a reason. That there's this incredible wisdom of what it means to be a human being. There's this incredible wisdom of how I do life with God. There's this like complexity that's in there. And when I sit with it, it moves and changes and transforms my life. And so to talk about what's most important to you, we're going to talk about some things. We're going to talk about our assignment. Now, this sounds like I'm a charismatic preacher, and I'm kind of here for it today, so I like it. And if we can talk about our assignment, then we're going to talk about that one thing. And if we can talk about one thing, then we talk about who or what is participating in that one thing. If we can talk about that, we need to talk about what's essential. If we can talk about that, then I want to talk about my kids for a minute. And if I can talk about that, then I want to talk about our assignment. Not just what are we individually, as individuals doing in Los Angeles, but what are we doing together as New Abbey? And what are we creating and building? And if we can talk about that, then let's talk about how sometimes we get distracted. And then we'll end with a little foundation and wall. Sound good? Yeah. All right. Here we go on a Sunday morning. Nehemiah is a story that takes place in around like 444 BC. I know, you're already thrilled. But it's interesting, if you like ancient history, you go through these different empires. First empire is the Assyrians, and the Assyrians are like one of the first major players in the ancient world where they're kind of bringing together all of Mesopotamia. And one of the interesting things about the Bible is it takes place mainly in Israel, and Israel is like the 210 or the 5, right? It connects everything that's going up like in Iran and Iraq, because you got to go around, you can't go through the desert to get there, everything that's going to be coming from like Greece or eventually Italy, and then everything that's going on in Egypt. So it's like a thoroughfare for what's going on. And for the Israelites at this time, in 444 BC, what's going on for them is that they have been in servitude for the last 300 years to all of these different empires, because whenever there's a new empire, they come through the five right there, and they take over Israel along the way. So what happens is that in 722 BC, the Assyrians come to destroy the northern kingdom, and then in 586 BC, the Babylonians of the new empire, they come and take out the southern kingdom. That's the kingdom of Judah. And then eventually the Persians come along, and there is this new emperor for the Persians. His name is Cyrus, and he says, hey, instead of being like all of the other empires, where I'm going to bring you all to the capital, and we're going to take all your smartest people and all of your leaders and all of your learned and things like that, I'm actually going to go allow some people to go back to where they are. So time goes on, and what happens in the scriptures is that some people stay in the capital of Babylon, and some people end up going back to Israel. So now we get to the time of Nehemiah, and it's 444, so it's about 90 years after Cyrus, and there's an emperor named Artaxerxes. Are we staying with me on the history lesson so far? Yes, okay. Hey, that was way more yeses than I imagined. This is pretty good. I like it. So Artaxerxes has come along, and he has this cupbearer named Nehemiah. Nehemiah is this young Jew, right, who is serving the emperor at the time. And he comes one day because his brother has come to town, and his brother has come to town from Jerusalem, and Nehemiah asks him, hey, how's everything going in Jerusalem? And it says this: they said to me, those who survive the exile and are back in the province are in great trouble and disgrace. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down, and its gates have been burned with fire. And when I heard these things, I sat down and wept. For some days I mourned and I fasted and I prayed before the God of heaven. For Nehemiah, he's completely distraught by the news that Jerusalem is just in shambles right now. That where all of his family has gone back to, things aren't good for them. You know, he's the cupbearer for the emperor, and things are working well for him. But he's just so distraught that for his people, their sense of identity and culture and who they are and what matters for them isn't working. And so he goes before the emperor one day, and the emperor sees on his face that he's sad, and he says, Nehemiah, what's going on? And he says to them, I'm just so grieved because of my people. Right? Would you let me, because I've done such a good job for you as your cupbearer, go back to Jerusalem and be the governor there? And can I help rebuild the walls and rebuild the city? And Artaxerxes says to him, yes, Nehemiah, you can go. You can take all of the time that you need, and you can go rebuild. And when Nehemiah gets to Jerusalem, he sees that the walls are in shambles and there are no gates. And I want you to think about it this way, that all of us need walls in life because walls represent safety and security. How well do you thrive in life when you don't have safety or security? Has there ever been a relationship that you've survived in when you don't feel safe? Has there ever been a job that you've thrived in when you don't feel secure? And so these walls represent more than just some ancient walls in an ancient city. It's a whole people group. It's a universal lesson for if we're gonna thrive, if we're really gonna live into our purpose, if we're gonna ask the deeper questions of what's most important to us, then what we're gonna need to do first is we're gonna need to rebuild some things. We're gonna need to be so intentional about what we're creating right now. And at first, we're gonna put up these walls, because if we don't get the walls up first, if we don't make this thing feel safe and secure, we're never going anywhere. So then what Nehemiah does is he just gets an idea, and he puts a plan together of where everybody's at and what's in shambles. And they notice the forest is overgrown now. There's no more farming going on. There's just rubble everywhere, and there's just no direction for the people. And so it says in this most beautiful way that Nehemiah gets everyone together, and he looks at each of them, and he knows what they're capable of, and he gives each of them an assignment. He gives each of them an assignment so that they would have purpose, and so that they could not only be a part of something that's important to them individually, but they could be a part of something that's important for the whole. And that when everybody in that group was living in their assignment, then they could do incredible things, far more than they could do individually. And isn't that our goal as a faith community? That we all want good news. We all want to know, yes, the movie was made. We went from $2,200 to $200,000, and I won an Oscar, my friends, right? We want these stories. We all want to go around and say a story of good news and what God's doing in us, and we want that because we've been so intentional in the summer of 2026, New Abbey, that each and every one of us says, I know my individual assignment this summer. And I'm going to take my individual assignment so seriously, because when I thrive, When I'm at my best, you can't even imagine what I'm bringing to this place. And when we bring that to this place, man, you can't even imagine what that does for Los Angeles. Just look at the light shine. Look at the goodness happening here because we're all choosing to create the worlds that we want and not just react to them this summer. And so we have a choice to make in that. How do we want to go about that? And we got to be really serious in it. One of the things is you got to pick what's your one thing this summer. I think for so many of us, we've got 100 different things going on. What's the one thing for you this summer that you're going to go hard on? For me, it's simple. My kids. I have 5 summers left with my oldest child. 5 summers. And for all the parents out there, whoo, that hits you in a different way. There is nothing that matters more than that we play hard and that we go hard all summer long. I want beaches, my friends. I want pool parties, corn on the cob and watermelon and laughter and getting into each other's business and playing board games. That's all that I want. I could care less about money. I could care less about the time. I could care less about anything else except that. I cannot wait for my business partners to call me and say, we have a meeting scheduled on Wednesday, and I will say, I cannot because I am in Carpinteria. Because it can wait. When I was a young pastor 13 years ago, I met this guy named Rob Bell. Some of you know him, some of you don't. And he had just left this giant megachurch in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And when I had met him, he was so interesting to me because he's everything that I thought that I wanted to be. I wanted a church of 10,000 people. Why? Because apparently that's what Jesus wanted. I wanted to speak at a Willow Creek conference, and I wanted to be a New York Times bestselling author because it was for God's glory, people. That's why. I wanted those things. And so here's a guy who did all of those things and left it. And by the way, they hated him, not because he stole their money and cheated on them, but they hated him because he told everyone that God loves everybody, which is super radical. But not the point. The point is, when I got to meet him, I asked him to be my mentor, and I got to hang out with him. And I'll always remember May of 2012, and me saying hey, Rob, can we get to coffee together this summer? And he said to me, hit me up in September. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, it's summer and I'm going hard with my kids. And it was this new way of seeing the world. Because I was a young pastor at a large church where I was going to take over. And the dude was a boomer. That's not a diss on any boomers, but there's different value sets here, all right? And in one, boomer's generation, you work hard and you do 60 hours a week and you're there. Gen Alpha, they're never gonna have a job more than 3 years, okay? That's just real. That's okay. Different value sets. Can we agree to agree, right? So you're all 3 years? Yeah, that's crazy. And so I remember going in early every day when I was a young pastor at my old church because I always wanted to beat the senior pastor. And I knew he arrived at 7:30, and I knew that at 7 a.m. I always wanted him to see my car in the parking lot. And when he left at 8 p.m., I wanted to make sure he still saw my car there. And so what I had in my mind is I'm gonna outwork this guy. And I'm going to be here all of the time, and I'm going to do it faithfully for the church, and whenever anybody calls, they're going to know that they can call on me, and I'm going to give my life to it. And there's a season of 5 years where it was just me and my wife, and we have no kids. I don't remember ever being at our house, but what I do remember is the amount of date nights that I didn't do. I missed the assignment. And here I have this heretic pastor, so to speak, who comes along and says, get back to me in September. Because, man, your values are all wrong. And that's what I want to be about. I know my assignment this summer. What's your assignment? What's the thing that's going to be most important to you this summer? Maybe it's a who. And maybe that who gets you really excited. And if you're going to choose that who, then what I need you to think so carefully about is who are you saying no to? Because you're going to need to say no to some people, I promise you, if you're going to say yes to some other things. Maybe your assignment this summer is what? And if you're going to choose that what, then you need to decide for yourself, what am I saying no to? Not forever no to, but in this season of life, I don't have the ability to do that if I'm going to accomplish my what. And how many of us get distracted? How many of you have like the grand thing that you want to be all about, and then something like lame comes along and you get distracted by it, right? And it's so much easier to get distracted by the lame thing than it is to stay serious about the thing that could actually change your life. And that's not like guilt or shame on anyone. I think we just do it as human beings because we're overwhelmed sometimes, and it's scary to shoot for Mount Everest. It's scary to have your assignment be to go to the moon. It's scary to want to go to Mars. It's scary to give your whole self. But man, if you don't give your whole self this summer, man, you're gonna have greater regret than if you did. So think about it. Think about who you want. Think about what you want. And think about what you might need to let go of. For some of you, maybe it's not a project. Maybe it's a habit. Maybe it's a habit that you want to take on. And for some of us in the room, maybe it's desperately a habit that you want to let go of because you so believe in your assignment. You so believe in your job that just like Nehemiah in the story, you're going to get everybody together. And when you know your assignment, when you know what you're doing, you know that the walls are going to get rebuilt. And those walls getting rebuilt, man, it's so much bigger than you. It's everyone else in your life that depends on you. It's a whole world that's desperate for stories about young black women, right, who are firstborn children because I've never heard that story before. They're desperate for all of our stories in this room. Know your assignment. Go live after that thing. Be all about it. It goes on, and this is one of my favorite lines in Nehemiah, and it says this, Sanballat, great name, and Geshem sent me the message, come, let us meet together in one of the villages on the plain of Ono. Oh, I missed some things. You got to know this part. So what happens is Nehemiah is doing all the work. He gets all the people together. They all understand their assignment. They're working hard, and then they're going to start all the other people around them. They're really nervous because Jerusalem's rebuilding these walls again, right? And have you ever been in a situation where like things are going well for you and the people around you start to get a little bit nervous? Right? And so, but you got to stay committed to your mission, committed to your assignment, committed to the things that you're about. And Nehemiah is organizing all of the people, but he knows that the people around them don't want it and they're come to harm him. And so it says that they said, hey, let's go meet, but they were scheming to harm him. So I sent messengers to them with this reply. And this next one, this is what gets me. I am doing a great work and I cannot come down. This is like, man, if you want a life verse, this is a pretty good one if you're looking for it, right? It's so believing in what you're doing this summer that you can't be distracted. Now, I'm doing a great work right now. I cannot come down. I am so involved with what my kids are doing this summer that I'm probably going to have to say no to that project, even though it means a lot of money. But, man, I only got 5 summers left with my boy. And when he's 18 and goes off to college, I'll never care about any of that money, I promise you. I have a story this year where my kids, you know, it's like liberal LA school, so there's a lot of awards we give out, let's be honest. It's not like when we all went to school. Actually, some of you were born like, some of you don't remember 9/11, so I have to say this differently. There was a time in history, previous century, where we only gave awards away to one person, right? And the rest of you sat there. No, I'm joking. It's dumb. The real story is there's these awards they give out, and it was the last award that my 5th grader was ever going to receive at a school. And by the way, I've gone to every single award for him but like 2. And when they give away the awards, there's literally like 30 other kids are getting awards. They hold up a piece of paper for a 1/10 of a second. You get a little picture and you leave, and like there's nothing more to it. And I don't remember why or what meeting I took this year, but I wasn't at his last award. And I remember him coming home and saying to me, Dad, you weren't at my last award today. And even to this day, I'm like, I don't even know what the meeting was about. It doesn't even matter. And it doesn't matter that it's a 1/10 of a second. All that matters is that he knows that I was there for that little picture and that I was doing my dumb dad look. Yeah, you got it, buddy, right? With all the other people taking the picture, and that's what matters. And so sometimes we use that energy as well of we've missed our assignment. You don't need to feel guilt or shame about that, but know that. You know those moments in life where you're like, I didn't shoot for the moon. I didn't give it my all. I gave all of my energies to the wrong who's. When really I should have been giving my energy to the one who or the couple who that I really care about. I spent all energy all summer long working on everybody else's projects, and I didn't fulfill my own. Man, I hope it's a different summer for us, New Abbey, and that we go about it in a different way. That each of us say, no, I'm doing a good work and I cannot come down. There's no possible way for me to have a different view or vision of this thing because I'm up here working on the thing. What I love about the story of Nehemiah is that it's not just a story of like your individual assignment, understanding what you're good at, understanding your clarity. That would be so American of us. I believe in those things. I want you to have that. I want you to be all about that. I want this to be the best summer that you've ever had. I want 2026, this summer, to bring clarity for you and for you to create. And I want your summer to be about something even bigger than yourself. And I've had a lot of time over the last month to reflect about this community and what I so believe in about this place. I've had a lot of time to reflect on this community when a Mariah is leaving and what it has meant to our children. And we don't have a replacement, by the way. Karen's leaving at the end of the month. There's going to be other shifts and transitions that are going to take place. And I've been around a long time for this thing, since the beginning. And I know what makes this place magical is not how many different staff people we have, but what makes this place magical is when the whole community is building the wall together. And at the end of the story, what ends up taking place is that 4 different times they're going to come to Nehemiah and they're going to say to him, no, come down from the wall, come down from the wall. He says, I can't come down, right? I'm doing a great work. I cannot come down. And then it eventually says that 56 days later, they built the wall. Clearly was not a construction project in California. And then after that, after they built the safety and security. By the way, we're going to be in Nehemiah all of June, so good luck. It's going to be awesome, right? And there's so much beautiful stuff in there. There's like stories of justice and stories of healing, stories of like re-engaging their spirituality and their faith and their trust in God. But you don't do any of that until you build the walls. Until you all participate in building the foundation, there is nowhere else to go. And so many of us in life, we're trying to do this thing way out here. We haven't worked on our foundation. It is really hard to go have these big dreams and go succeed on all these other things if we're not working on the basic things at the most ground level. And that's what the story is about. It's about getting so clear on like, what do you need to fix? What do you need to build? What do you need to create that's right here in front of you? And so, New Abbey, my dream for us this summer is that we all get engaged. And I want to confess something to you as a pastor for a second. And like, this hit me really, really hard. For 3 years, I have been distracted at building the walls here. 3 years. Because 3 years ago, I went through the greatest pain that I ever went through as a pastor. And some of you know the story, some of you don't. It doesn't matter. What matters is, for me, it was the greatest betrayal that I had ever experienced. And it was all of what the hardwiring in my little Enneagram 3 heart of, I'm going to care for these people, I'm going to give them everything, I'm going to make them feel safe, I'm going to just pour my life into them, only to have people betray me. And only have people like come like want to hurt you. And I don't know if you've ever been in one of those moments, like, what do you want? And there's actually nothing that they want except really just to hurt you. There's no like answer, because like I would have given anything in that moment. And 3 years it's taken me to heal. And I know some of you all know that. How many of you have been through a breakup and it took 3 years or more to heal? The death of that person who, man, you care so much about. And maybe you're still healing. Your childhood wounds, love of God, we're still healing, right? And it's one of those where I'm finally getting clarity of like, man, I've been distracted. And I don't want to be distracted. I feel healthy now. I feel clear now. And I so believe in this community. There is staff and people that are going to be transitioning here. And that's okay. What matters is the people that are sitting here right now, we're the ones that are going to build the walls together. We're the ones who are going to live into our assignment this summer. And my ask is like super, super practical. It's actually about our kids. And I've been talking with staff about it, and it goes like this. We can just grow in how we care for our kids. And there's a lot of weeks that I talk to our staff, and there's no one able to help care for our kids on a Sunday morning. Or there's other weeks where, like, I don't know if you know this. You guys know how often, like, Johnny is, like, sweeping the parking lot out there because people leave trash or whatever. Like, Johnny's, like, at Home Depot getting guys, paying for it, cleaning that lot so that our kids walk into a safe and secure environment so that they have a foundation where they know that they're loved and cared for, right? And for me, it's like, man, I believe in all of our assignments. I want so much for New Abbey, but like, if we don't create safety and security for our little ones, then the rest of it doesn't matter. And I'm already at the point with staff, I'm like, hey, like, it's not ultimatum, but let's just get to the place of like, hey, we can't offer childcare any week anymore. Why? Because we don't have enough people building the wall. And that's like not like a guilt thing. This is like a, man, I so believe in the vision of who we are, New Abbey. I believe in Mariah's light and joy and her smile, and I believe in that for each and every one of you, that our kids desperately need you. And some of you are like, ugh, kids, right? I get it. How can you be a part of a parking lot cleanup crew? How can you be a part of something if the 300 people who call New Abbey a home every single month all participated? You would only need to serve one Sunday a quarter. Like, how amazing is that? And our kids desperately need it. I'm just at the point right now with New Abbey. I've been doing this such a long time, since the beginning, where every single week I come in here and I hear stories of good news and people's lives changing and people's lives transforming. And then we talk about this. We're a rowboat. We're not a cruise ship. There are great cruise ship churches out there, and a lot of them are awesome, right? It's a cruise ship. There's good things there. But we're not. Look around. There's nothing sexy or fancy about this place. You are what's foundational about this place. Where we go together. And to be honest, we all haven't been rowing together, me included. But I want to row together this summer. I want to find a different way of doing this thing. I want to be engaged with each other, and I want everyone to participate. I mean, seriously, I think we all can participate. I think we can all sign up and be a part of this thing. And it's just our way of saying, this is the wall that we're building. Our wall might look like that dinky little pool gate we get out there so kids don't run out on the street, but it's the wall that we're going to build together. It's us showing up for our little ones because it's the wall that we're going to build together. And then we believe that we're a rowboat. I don't want to be the community anymore where people come in good news and say my life is healed, but we'd have no volunteers out there. That tells me we're not rowing. And it tells me that I'm not doing a job of giving vision. And we're not doing a good job of creating systems. And I want to do something different because I want your life to thrive in the summer of 2026. And New Abbey has to do things differently in order for us to thrive. And if not, totally okay, then we just got to do it differently. But I believe that we can all do it together. And then it's like once we start there, now let's keep adding to this wall. Because there's so many dreams I have for this place. It plagues me all the time. We're in LA. So many of you are incredible creatives. We should be doing so much more with you all. So much more, right? Yeah. And we're not. Because we're not building our wall. If we don't have our foundation and our walls, it's so hard to go do the other things. That's like your marriage falling apart and you wanting to go to Bali. It's like, you know what you're going to do in Bali? Argue. How many of you have been there? I paid a lot of money for this day to suck. Yeah, because we haven't done the foundation work. It's funny because it's true. And we've all been in those relationship seasons, right? Where it's like that, right? My favorite one is like, our relationship's falling apart. Let's get a dog. Don't! Get a therapist, right? A plant at best, right? If you say kids, ooh, yeah, not the answer. We got to grow in our foundations. We got to build our walls together. So there's an ask in all of this. And really the ask is, if you call this place home and you are experiencing healing and transformation, I'm asking that you sign up this summer. And I don't want to be a part of a church that doesn't. And I'm the happiest pastor in the world to be like, if we shrink the church, praise God. Because the secret that I have in my life is, and some of you know, some of you don't, I have all my own other businesses. I'm not a pastor up here begging you for money because I need it. I don't. That's a huge gift in my life. But it's sometimes a gift where because I don't need the money, that I can be distracted because I got other things to build. But this is my baby. I want this place to thrive and grow. And I want us to be invested in it. Last story. My wife and I, we went to this great gala last night for a water project. And we just recently made one of the largest financial decisions of our life. So it's like, ooh, I don't got as much money as I would like right now, you know? And my wife and I were talking, and she's like, maybe we're going to give differently this year to this water project than we have previously. And I said, no, I think we should really give in the same way. And she goes, well, why? I said, if we only give when it's convenient, we'll never give. And I remember being a young kid and a family instilling in me, Cory, if you're not going to give $10 when you have 100, I promise you won't give 10,000 when you have 100,000. And it's true. Some of you are like, 10%. Start with $1. If you won't give $1 when you have 100, I promise you won't give 1,000 when you have 100,000. I just promise you. That it's a habit that's built. And I want to be a community that rows together and serves together. And if you're healthy, be a part of that. Last thing, if you're like, I'm still so tired, Cory, and worn out, please lay on the deck of that boat and trust that everyone else is going to row for you because they've had someone else row for them previously before, and that's how they got here. May you not come down from your wall, New Abbey. because you have a great work to do this summer. Be committed to your assignment. Be committed to our assignment, and may this be the best summer that we have ever had. I want to put a question up, and then I'm going to put a QR code up later that I'm excited for all of you to sign up for in Jesus' name. Question for you to answer is, what's your assignment this summer? Enjoy.